we're going to be looking at here is we're going to be looking at special types of angle pairs. And the first one we're looking at is adjacent angles. Now what adjacent means? Adjacent means next to. When you have adjacent houses, you're right next to that person. If you have adjacent cars, you're parked right next to each other. Adjacent means next to. So with that being said, it means that they share a common vertex and side, but they do not have any common interior points. And remember, common means shared. So that means that they share a vertex and a side, but they cannot share any interior points. So what this leaves us with is I'm going to draw a pair of adjacent angles here. I'm going to draw them one at a time so you can see them. So we have P, Q, and R. So PQR would be one angle. And what's the vertex of PQR? It's Q. By definition, adjacent angles have to have a common vertex. So that means the other angle has to have a vertex of Q. And they have to share a side. Well, what are the two sides of PQR? We have QP and QR. So if I want to make an adjacent angle pair, then I have to make something that's going to have either QP or QR as its side. So I'm going to go ahead and draw it over here. So now I've got angle RQS. And these two angles are adjacent because they share a side. And the side that they share is RQ, or QR, sorry. They share, right here, they share ray QR. Now it also says they have to have a common vertex. Well, they share vertex Q. That's what makes those adjacent angles. They share a side and a vertex. So let's look down here. Oh, and no, one more thing, no common interior points. That means that if a point is inside this angle, it can't be inside this angle at the same time. It can be on the line, but it can't be on the inside of one angle and the inside of the other at the same time. So let's look at the examples here. The examples that we have here, the two smaller angles, it says the diagram in example 2 suggests that the following postulates, angle is the angle addition postulate, which is if R is in the interior of QPS, then the measure of angle QPR plus the measure of angle RPS equals the measure of angle QPS. Now this is just like our segment addition postulate where the two smaller ones equal the whole, but we're doing it with angles now. So let's look at the first angle. If you have adjacent angles, that means they share a side and a vertex. Well, they share this ray PR, okay. Oops. They share ray PR, and they share vertex P. They do not overlap. There's no way I can draw a point inside one and have it not be inside the other. So part plus part equals whole. So what that means is, let's look at the two angles we have. That means this angle right here, which we can call angle QPR or RPQ. They call it QPR. The measure of angle QPR, which is this angle, I'm going to color it in a little bit so you can see it. The measure of this angle plus the measure of this angle, which is angle RPS, that's this one, the one in purple. The measure of those two smaller angles is going to equal the measure of the entire angle here, the large angle. And that large angle, of course, is QPS or SPQ. So, and that's this angle right here. So you can see green plus purple is going to equal blue. And that's the angle addition postulate. And that only works with adjacent angles. They share a side and they share a vertex and they don't overlap. So let's look at example 4. We look at example 4. Example 4 says if the measure of angle PQS, which is this one, if the measure of angle PQS, which is this larger one, is 77 degrees, okay, PQS is this larger one, that's both of these combined, and the measure of angle PQR, which is just this one right here, the measure of angle PQR, which is just this one right here, which is 32 degrees, then it says find the measure of angle RQS. So the measure of angle RQS is the entire, is this section right here, the red one. So we want to find RQS. Well, we know the whole thing is 77, and we want to find X. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take the entire angle, which is 77, subtract the smaller piece, which is 32, and that will give us the other piece. So 77 minus 32 gives us 45. So 45 is X. But they want us to find the measure of RQS. Well, 45 is RQS because we don't have to plug in to find the other angle. It's already just X. So again, PQS, which is the whole thing, which is 77. PQR, which is this angle right here, is 32. And RQS is this angle. And I'll color these in so you can see them a little bit better. So you have PQR is the light blue right here. Then you've got RQS, which is the red. And then you've got PQS, which is the whole thing here. So light blue plus red equals blue, and that's what ends up happening. But we know dark blue and we know light blue, so to find red we do subtraction.